The White Lotus Season 2 Episode 5 Ending Explained. This episode really kicked things into gear, with us getting a considerable amount of screen time with all of the main arcs in this episode. We saw Ethan finally come clean and reveal what happened on the night that Harper was in Noto. Lucia and Albie spent the evening together and have grown a genuine connection, whilst we're now also seeing an alternate viewpoint to Lucia's life. Dominic was questioning the decisions that he'd made throughout his marriage. Portia was still falling for Jack, and Tanya, well, she walked in on the unexpected after stumbling across a symbolic rotten apple at the side of her bed. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this episode. So let's get into it. Here is the White Lotus Season 2 Episode 5 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Episode 5 of the show, titled That's Amore, which when translated into English is love, was centered around that very thing, and the blossoming, stagnation, and ending of it. We had Dominic mourning the love that he had for his wife that he neglected, Bert saying how he and his wife loved each other, the forming of a spark between Portia and Jack and Lucia and Albie, and the stagnated love and questioning of Harper and Ethan and Cameron and Daphne. Let's not forget Tanya's kicking off of an annulment between herself and Greg, all love stories that are at different parts of the journey. I'm going to break this video down by the main character arcs that we had throughout this episode and discuss where they left off and what's in store for them. Ethan, Harper, Daphne, and Cameron. Within this episode, we saw a completely different side to Harper to what we'd seen throughout the entirety of the show so far. Ethan informed her what happened during the night that they went to Noto, and despite the fact that her husband didn't cheat on her, we saw the lack of trust that she had within him. But this is most likely due to the lack of trust that she has within Cameron. Ethan expressed how it should be viewed as a good thing that he didn't cheat on Harper when it was happening, as it was just a mere matter of feet away from him, which highlighted a trait that wasn't his finest. However, Harper seemed to think that something did happen. We saw this by the more extroverted behaviour that she emitted, kind nature towards the waiters, and also the conversations that were taking place about past encounters with individuals. Ethan spoke in a way that showed a slight bit of fatigue towards Cameron's behaviour, and he did this by using a line that will most certainly foreshadow what's to come at the end of the season. This was the mention of Cameron having mimetic desire, which is when somebody wants something because somebody else has it. This is alluding to the way that Cameron is seeking out Harper and has done throughout the entirety of the trip, from when he got changed in their room right back at the start of the season, to now touching Harper's leg when they were talking and Ethan was sitting right there. For now, Harper is pushing him away, and I really hope she does, because what we've seen of the character is that she's headstrong, and not part of these games that seem to get played in Cameron and Daphne's relationship. There was an interesting scene that unfolded after dinner. It was when Harper spoke with Daphne about her suspicion around something happening on the night that they were away. This was where Daphne said how she has a trainer back home who has blonde hair and big blue eyes and that they're a real cutie. She stated that she spends more time with him than she does her husband because Cameron is always working. When she went to show Harper a photo of her trainer, it was her children. This left a burning question on if she does actually have a trainer that she cheats on her husband with. Or maybe she can't bring herself to do so because she does care so deeply about Cameron. She may not even have the time to because she has two people that she cares for more than she does him, and that's their children. I feel it could be that, or it could have been a subtle hint to the fact that the children that she has might not be Cameron's. However, she did state to Harper that she should get a trainer. This conversation was quite sad to witness because you could sense the sadness that was within Daphne, because she experiences the thoughts that Harper has on a regular basis, and it was delivered extremely well across the screen, providing a real human side to the character. It seems as though Ethan hasn't taken well to the change in behaviour of Harper, and he's feeling extremely uncomfortable about it all. Judging by the trailer for the upcoming weeks, it certainly seems as though it's going to get to him even more. The final thing in this arc was of Lucia approaching Cameron and asking for the money from their night together. There was real emphasis on the fact that the amount that she was asking for wasn't much, so it does make me think that he's lost a lot of money and isn't as rich as what he says he is, but I feel this is something that will unfold over the coming episodes. Tanya, Portia, Jack, and Quentin. Now this was an extremely interesting arc in the show. We saw Tanya go to an island and a villa that Quentin owned, and it started to seem as though he maybe isn't as genuine as what he originally seemed. In the closing moments after we saw that Tanya awoke in the night, there was a rotting apple on the side of her bed. A rotten apple is symbolic of somebody who's dishonest and not quite as they seem, which I think is representative of the situation that's going to unfold with Quentin. The fact that she walked in on Quentin and Jack, his apparent nephew, engaging in intimate activities, I feel what they're doing must be a front for a wider scheme and a plan that's currently at play, meaning that Jack most certainly isn't his nephew. There were a couple of interactions which stood out between Tanya and Quentin, such as the agreeing on the lady being the Queen of Sicily and Quentin laughing at her lack of knowledge and common sense, and also the look under his brow when he said to Tanya, "Would you die for beauty?" There's definitely something going on. As Tanya even said, when people have money, it's good to know that they're not after it. So it could mean that they're after something else of hers if they are genuinely rich, or if they're not, they could be after her money. We've not seen Greg in a couple of episodes, so there's nothing to say that he's not tied to this in some way too. Jack and Portia grew closer, and it's safe to say that Portia's heart is going to be broken after hearing the information that Tanya will most likely be telling her in the next episode. I found the scene where Portia said goodbye to Albie relatively sad, where she basically said, "Have a nice life." It felt like they had a connection, genuinely, at one point, but I think they were just on two different pathways. Portia back in episode 2 said how she wanted to just have fun and experience life, which she certainly is now, whereas Albie wanted a commitment, which she was never willing to give. I feel their paths will most definitely cross though before the end of the season. Dominic, Bert, Albie and Lucia. Albie and Lucia being together was the main talking point of this episode, with the episode starting as most of them do with Lucia waking up in somebody's bed. We saw that she actually started to have a genuine connection with Albie. As Albie said in episode 2 of the show, he tends to attract wounded birds. And Lucia is somebody who, after this episode specifically, it seems as though she's caught up in a lifestyle that she doesn't truly want to be in. The introduction of the character Alessio confirmed that when he approached her and was looking for the money that she owed him. This was the first time that we saw Lucia in clear distress. However, there is a part of me that does fear that this could be a front to get Albie's money. I would like to believe that the connection is genuine and that Lucia is growing feelings for Albie, so I'll be intrigued to see how it develops. Albie doesn't know that Dominic, his father, has been with her on the trip, so I imagine once that information gets revealed, which it most certainly will, the rift between Albie and his father will grow stronger. Dominic had an episode of self-reflection and regret over how he treated his wife throughout his marriage, walking along the beach, seeing couples of all ages from young to old, realizing that he had that, but he no longer does due to his own actions. It was pretty sad to witness, and you could feel the emptiness that he held within him, even with nobody being at the other end of the phone when he called. He's pushed everybody away, and he only has himself to blame. Valentina, Isabella and Mia. Valentina's infatuation with Isabella is something that's becoming more and more apparent, and the jealousy that she had towards Rocco is something that has interfered with her, and is now on her mind. So much so that she was prepared to make Isabella unhappy by removing him so she'd be less distracted in talking to other people and almost more focused on her. It's the wrong attitude and a toxic move from Valentina. Mia is very much morphing into the Lucia that we saw at the start of the season, prepared to be with somebody in exchange for something else. Lucia wanted to open a shop, and that's the only reason why she was doing what she was doing, to get money for that. Whereas now, Mia is handing out intimate favors so she can progress her way forward in her career. Lucia's actions haven't gone unnoticed by her best friend, and Mia is now merging into her. I thought this episode was the best of the season so far. We're seeing a change in characters that I didn't expect to see, relationships starting to form whilst others crumble at the same time, and with only 2 episodes left, we're drawing ever closer to finding out who was in the sea. Right now, it's so hard to call, but I can't wait to find out who it's going to be. So, there you have it, the White Lotus Season 2 Episode 5 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.